We honour the First Peoples of Australia, their unbroken ties to Aboriginal law, culture and customs. We respect the traditional owners of the lands and waters we inhabit and acknowledge their elders past and present. We celebrate the enrichment of Aboriginal communities around Australia. We recognise the lasting impact of colonisation and dispossession. We salute those who have fought for the rights of First Peoples. Their legacy is our guiding light today and always.
I can't take it anymore!
Good afternoon, good evening, good day, and good morning, Blurtstars, wherever you are around the world. You are listening to the Blurt.
I'm back, baby!
And you're sure with your busy schedule you'd have time to take on a program?
That's absolutely true. We are back. We are back. The new Blurt is back. And it is fantastic to be back. Although it's been funny being back because we've had lots of wonderful little things behind the scenes that we've been trying to deal with this evening before we even got onto air. So it's been a really, 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 really fun time. But anyway, tonight I'm coming to you from Wurundjeri country, the Kulin nation of the Wurundjeri people. Sovereignty was never ceded, always has been, and always will be Aboriginal land. I am the Kegsta, aka Keely. This is about our 181st potty, I think. So if you've been on the journey with us from go to woe, thank you very much for that. We've been seeing that our listenership has been going up and up in different weeks, and it's a really good thing. We will probably be changing, and it probably won't make a lot of difference to you, I don't think, because if you listen to the pod rather than the video, it won't make any difference to you whatsoever. But if you watch the video, it may, because we will be changing our platform very soon from StreamYard to, we think Riverside, but we're just trying to work that out at the moment. Because StreamYard, in their infinite wisdom, has decided to slug everyone 125% increase. Which, as you can imagine, in US dollars, that is a lot of money. And we fund this show ourselves. So on an oily rag. So I just thought I'd give you that at the start of the show. Anyway, if this is the first time you've listened to the show, welcome to you. I will just let you know what's on the show tonight. Blurt Around the World, we've got Biden hosts his homies from Australia, India and Japan. Floods in Chiang Mai and local areas, and that will become apparent and extremely important very, very soon. New Prime Minister of Sri Lanka has just been elected, and Twitter was blocked in Brazil. We do not call that platform anything else but Twitter on this program. And on Trump Watch tonight, if Orange Head loses, he's not going to try again, which is a really nice thing for us. We can live in hope that that is the case. One, that he loses, and two, that he never ever tries again. Science tonight, some really interesting stuff. Wencee's going to talk about Greenland shark. Who is Wencee? You'll find that out in a second. Greenland shark can live to 400 years or more, which is pretty fascinating stuff. And I'm going to talk about why robots can't solve riddles, which is quite interesting as well. Nice little convo on that one. And to wind up the show, we've got Green There, Done That. I'm going to talk about the climate summit in New York, some hopeful actions coming out of that summit, and hopeful conversations and things that we can do, and then some devastating consequences that are happening in parallel. So we can't get away from the devastation, unfortunately. We can't just be ostriches and stick our heads in the sand. We have to deal with what we've got, and we have to be better as human beings, because otherwise, we're not going to be enjoying our last days on this earth within the next 20, 30, 40 years. Anyway, and Wencee's going to chat about housing is destroying the Brisbane River. Is it more devastation and sort of unfortunate conversation, but we need to have it because we need to know that it's happening. We need to be alert and alarmed in this case, and we need to do something about it. It's easy as that. We need to create action on these things. We can't just keep allowing these things to happen I was thinking about this the other day. We don't in this country, we do not protest enough about climate change. We whinge about I can't remember what the climate group was called, but they were sort of anarchists from the climate perspective, from an activist perspective, and they would sort of have sit-downs in the middle of roads and all those sort of things. But I tell you what, it takes that sort of action for people to actually sit up and do something and take notice. And something else that we need to take notice of is that Wencee's back. He's in Thailand. You need to welcome him now.
Howdy, everyone. Welcome. Hello, everyone. Not coming to you from the traditional lands of Turrbal and Yagra people today. I'm coming to you from Chiang Mai, northern Thailand, somewhere different for a change.
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. It's so good to see you again on this platform. I know we've had a little bit of a natter here and there on our signal chats, but it's so good to see you in fine form. You look well. You don't look depressed in any way. You look like in fine fettle.
Yeah, well, 2 weeks ago it was a totally different story when we're trying to leave the country and in a rush and packing all of our stuff back home and then trying to make it on time to the flight and everything. It was a bit of a rush, but that's now history. We can forget about that and just move on.
And how is life in Thailand right now?
Yeah, good. We found our accommodation, which we'll call home for the next 5 to 6 months.
Oh wow! So
yeah,
I was gonna ask you about that. How does that work? Because is it just I suppose it's just like a rental agreement for 6 months or something?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
We did a lot of research before moving here. So it's totally different once you get on the ground.
I'll bet.
You can do all your research and all that stuff. But yeah, once we got here, it was fairly easy to find accommodation. It was just a matter of finding the right accommodation. We saw quite a few. I think the second or third business day we were here, and found a lot of them not to be ideal for us for various reasons. Could be the location of where the accommodation, the building was, too far, not enough nightlife, not enough restaurants. We knew roughly areas we wanted, so we ended up looking at another location, found another agent, real estate agent, and then we settled on this place. So we're in the middle of the hustle and bustle. The downside to where we are, we're directly underneath the flight path of the airport, which is an international airport. So if you do hear a noise in the background every so often, it'll probably be that as it goes literally above our building.
And is that the jet?
Any
Sorry, Thai Airways or something?
Yeah, it could be any airline, but yeah, the Chiang Mai International Airport is literally in that direction. If you can see my arm going, I think it's south, and the flight path is directly above our building, or this whole area.
And what time is it there in the afternoon now? It's about 4:30 or something.
Currently 5:20, and
5:20. Yeah, we are. And is it? I know you've got your curtains closed, but is there? What's your view like from where you are?
Do I have? Should have prepared that. I do. I have taken some photos.
That's fine. We'll have plenty of time to run down on that. So that's not a problem. That's not a problem at all. Actually, talking about photos, and we should probably get on to the Chiang Mai floods in the local areas. You were talking about this.
I'm not sure if you know, but there was Typhoon Yagi came through here about 1 or 2 weeks ago, and there've been other heavy rainfalls, monsoons east of Thailand, so out Philippines, Vietnam. They've been affected as well, but we're getting the runoff from a lot of those rains up north of Thailand, of where we are now. A river called the Ping River goes through Chiang Mai, and Kim and Elijah were around that river just this afternoon, and I've got some video footage of that river. So I'm just going to add this to the stage. So this is one of the local rivers. Lots of creeks and other things in the area, but this is the main one. And yeah, so
that looks pretty high.
yes, very high.
Is that Kim? Is that Kim on the bridge?
Yes. So that was filmed by
Wow.
Elijah. Here's another shot.
And what's the temperature like?
Still pretty warm, mid 30s, low
Jesus,
30s.
wow.
So it's
So trousers
can
just don't
get
exist
muggy.
in
Hasn't
Thailand.
always
basically.
been muggy when we've gone out, but it does get quite warm at night. When you're walking around, it's 20 degrees, 22, muggy.
I was going to say,
Is that
you've
playing on your
never.
end?
No, it's a little bit. No, and you've got the sound muted.
Yeah, there's not much sound other than a raging river.
No problems. Yeah,
Actually,
no
I'll turn that on.
problems.
Okay. Okay, let's see if that plays. Here we go.
Yeah, that's fine. Wow. Oh my God, that's so high. Crap. That's a lot of water.
And it is, and that's, I think, 3.5 meters above what it's normally meant to be.
Oh my God.
So they're predicting overnight that river might reach its peak, which is 3.7 meters. So low-lying areas of Chiang Mai,
trees?
potentially, yeah. Well, not over the trees, but it'll be getting close to the banks. So in the first video that I showed you, it'll be pretty close to that area there that you can see. So it'll be getting close to that. And yeah, low-lying areas in Chiang Mai, there's quite a few areas like that are pretty low, and they will get flooded. Last Saturday, just gone, we had storms in the area. We were at a bar watching the Formula One Grand Prix qualifying, and we had some flash flooding just outside of the restaurant we were in. Heavy rain, storms, lightning, thunder, all that stuff. It lasted about 10-15 minutes, and then it subsided by the time we left. So it was, but yeah, we will get that around. But we're on level 5 where we are now in our condo. So as long as we've got supplies, we should be right for a few hours, days.
Right. Okay. Nice. So are you in the monsoon season right now? Or?
Yes, it started late this year, from what the locals have told us. So the wet season started quite late. It should be over pretty much by now, because we are technically in entering the dry season.
Was that one of the reasons of the timing that you decided to go, because you thought, we'll try to miss the monsoons? Or
no, didn't realize it was going to be this bad. And obviously you can't predict when you've booked your tickets 2 months ahead.
No, you cannot.
Yeah, so once we committed, it was like, that's it. It is what it is. But yeah, we're working. We've lived through the floods of 2022, so we're old hat at this.
Well, the other thing is, though, the nice thing is, it's not like you're going to lose your house.
Exactly.
So, but anyway, that looks a bit, that definitely looks a bit dicey there. But some good news, Dr. Harini Mara Surya appointed as the new Prime Minister of Sri Lanka.
Oh.
And the good news on this is that he's a rights activist, a university lecturer, and he's been appointed the 16th Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. And I apologise profusively because obviously Dr. Harini is a lady, is a woman, not a man. So I apologise for my misogynistic bias there. That was absolutely terrible. Anyway, known for her work in education and social justice, Amma Saria's appointment marks a significant milestone in Sri Lankan politics. That's one thing that's definitely happening around the world at the moment. There's lots more women getting into very, very senior positions in politics. And with a bit of luck, Kamala Harris will be the next president of America. And as we know, we had a climate scientist just become president of Mexico, I believe, not that long ago.
That's right.
So, yeah. And so, as you can tell, this lady's a super intelligent lady, and she has now just become prime minister. Oh, there you go. Sri Lanka's third woman prime minister. So they're very progressive over there. With the title held previously by Srimado Bandaranaike and Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratanga. I'm sorry if I completely bastardized that. The new prime minister stands out as the first academic turned politician to take office. And she entered parliament through the NPP nationalist list in 2020. So, yeah, there you go. Congratulations to her.
Well done. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
We need more female leaders in this world. And yeah, like you said, let's hope US lead the way this year.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We will do a pole position. Yeah, absolutely. We'll do a pole position next week, not this week. And we'll see how that's going for Kamala. But obviously, we will have a Trump watch this week. And talking about Trump, talking about Twitter, apparently it was blocked in Brazil. Do tell, Wencee, what's going on there?
Right. That's right. So, as we know, since Mr. Musk has taken on the Twitter platform, he has let loose and reactivated accounts that were previously banned and let
AKA
free speech
Nazis.
free. Yeah, pretty much, and all that stuff. So last year during the Brazil elections last year, a lot of misinformation was circulating around Twitter, of course, and yeah, no different in Brazil. And when the new president came in and new judges got appointed in that country, they took offence to that free speech and the platform and all the misinformation. So they started putting in legal barriers for Twitter to continue in Brazil, to the point where August this year, so last month, they put a complete ban on Twitter, so you couldn't access Twitter within the country.
I think you can. I think you can. You get a VPN though.
Yeah, I think even that they tried to restrict, so it was still pretty hard to get to.
Yeah.
So the government still made some effort to block it completely. And so Twitter pretty much disbanded the offices in Brazil because they're in protest and whatever. But then just recently,
I think they're actually trying to stop Starlink now too.
Yeah, so because they briefly reintroduced Twitter in Brazil over the last few days, they started handing out fines, $900,000 a day, and so they started fining Starlink as well, which is also owned by Musk. So they are, in a way, slowly going to start to comply with Twitter. And once they get offices again and people representing Twitter in Brazil, but still currently banned, which is a great thing. And hopefully they'll make some changes. But we'll see. I'll keep an eye on that news story over the coming week or two. Hopefully there'll be further fines and Musk will will make some changes hopefully. But it's not the first time, as we know, in Australia, we've tried to make Twitter make changes to their platform. Yeah, make it more palatable and and conform. There was a case early this year where government took Twitter to court. Nothing came of it by the sounds of it. I don't think the government won on that one, but yeah, it's not the first time that they've been embroiled.
I think in Australia it's probably a lot easier because they don't have constitution and First Amendment right of free speech, etc. Because we don't have a constitution like that at all. Which actually, in a way, is a good thing, because that's why Nazis can just run around with flags and say whatever they like without any sort of punishment or any threats of any kind. Whereas here, yes, it has happened, but there's consequences afterwards. Whereas in America, there's no consequences at all. You can just just keep just doing that. And the other thing with Musk, with Brazil, was he was wholly backing Bolsonaro, who was and is a complete right-wing nutbag, who decimated the Amazon in his reign. And as we know, the Amazon's a carbon sink for the world. Was a carbon sink for the world. But it's been completely decimated by someone who is just an idiot, does not understand how climate change works. So and also he's a good friend of Orange Head as well. Yeah,
exactly. We can't blame Bolsonaro wholly for the Amazon crisis. It's been going on for decades, but he did make it a lot worse.
Oh, he accelerated it nicely. Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, so moving back over to the US at the moment, well, not ours, but the present president of America, Biden, apparently is hosting some Aussies, apparently, and he's been in India and Japan. You've got some word on that, Wencee?
Yeah. So over the weekend, just gone, President Biden, probably his last major summit, if you can call it that, of hosting leaders in his Delaware home, had the Quad leaders, which is the US, obviously, himself, India, Japan, and Australia. So Albo was out there in America. And they talked all things local to Southeast Asia, the China impact and things like that. And so they talked a lot about security, how to help the Pacific Islands as well in terms of climate change. And again, everything comes back to China in this area, and putting that pressure on to help locals within the Quad, those four countries. Some of the things they did talk about was a new initiative called the Quad Cancer Moonshot, where they're targeting Indo-Pacific region and Southeast Asia, focusing on cervical cancer, which is quite prevalent in these countries. Australia's one of.
Did Bill Gates have some funding backing behind that, or who was the philanthropic backer?
I know. It wouldn't surprise me if it is Bill Gates' initiative or partly funded by that. As you might know, one of Biden's sons died of cancer several years ago, so he does have deep interest in cancer research and things like that. President
Skin
Biden.
In the game.
So, yeah, exactly. And so Australia, being one of the lowest incidence of cervical cancer, is one of the leaders in research and things like that. So as part of this summit that Biden held, and this Cancer Moonshot initiative, it wants to get more research done and help other countries in the region to reduce the incidence of cervical cancer. So Australia and America will be leading that to get all those practices in to reduce that cancer, because it is and can be prevented or reduced. And so other things that they talked about was logistic network between the four countries in terms of disaster response to the area, maritime initiative for training in the Indo-Pacific, and many other things that they talked about. So yeah, so it was one of his last hurrah meetings with leaders. There might be others, but yeah, so I thought that was quite interesting to talk about.
No, definitely, absolutely.
Thank you,
And you'll
attention.
have all the links to that in the show notes
Correct.
as well, yeah?
That's right.
Beautiful.
That's right.
So I did just pop it up, but yeah, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, alongside a whole bunch of other donors, earlier this year committed to the support cervical cancer elimination. And the foundation announced it intended to commit up to 180 million over 4 years to help accelerate the global uptake of HPV vaccines, develop new prophylactic HPV and therapeutic vaccines, diagnostic tools, and fund clinical studies. That's all regarding the Quad Countries Launch Cancer Moonshot Initiative, as you were just talking about. So, so they are one of the funders behind it. As I say, 180 million over 4 years. But I would have thought, I don't know.
Yeah, amazing.
Could they do 180 billion over 4 years, or am I just being greedy?
Good work.
No. I don't know if you heard that. I was just saying, could they do 180 billion over 4 years, or am I just being greedy?
Sorry, I just lost you there for the last 20 seconds. Don't know what happened there.
I don't know. Have you got me now?
I do have you now.
Okay, cool. It doesn't matter. What I said does not matter.
Damn it.
But what I'm about to say...
You said something really important, obviously.
No, it was not. It was not important at all. But I am trying to do something. I'm just getting... Here we go. But what I'm about to do is very important. Very important. Try that again.
When you give blood, you're more than just a blood donor. You're the lifeblood of Australia. Search Give Blood and book your donation with Australian Red Cross Lifeblood today. Give life. Give blood.
Hey, this is Hannah Melville-Ray from the Australia Institute. I'm listening to the new Blurt with Wencee and the Kegsta, and you should be too. It's on Tuesday nights, live from around 8 p.m.
I'm so indicted, and I just can't hide it. I'm about to go to jail, and I don't like it. I'm so indicted, and I just can't hide it. I know. I am so screwed.
Well, it looks like he is a little bit at the moment. Lots and lots of things that Orange Head. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So many things Orange Head is doing at the moment by just shooting himself in the foot with a machine gun, I might add, because seriously, he's just a douchebag. It's just pure and simple.
He might just assassinate himself with a shotgun.
Which, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I heard him. Someone asked him a really softball question. I don't know what the interview was, but they were saying how he looks after his health. And before he sort of said anything, he went, "Oh well, I have the best hamburgers. You know, the really healthy hamburgers." So he loves to look after his health, this man, definitely. The other thing, he's really good at geography. He is a very, very bright cookie, this one. So Orange Head's new digital campaign aimed at Republican voters in Georgia urges them to check their voter registration status. Can't believe that he could actually use any of those words in a sentence, but there you go. The ad emphasizes key political goals such as stopping inflation, securing borders, lowering taxes, and making America great again.
Of course.
Now, the little mistake in this ad was that there was a mountain range that was in the ad, and that mountain range is not found anywhere in America.
Yep.
So just a small issue, just a small one. And I think we've got, I think this is for Orange Head. Here we go.
Why you being a dickhead fool? Stop being a dickhead.
That's pretty normal modem of operandi for him. Anyway, so that's not the first time that this has been a stuff up with the Orange Head campaign. During the Stop the Steal efforts, a key Trump ally misspelt George's name while they were rallying for supporters in Atlanta. So whether this changes the game, I don't think it will, but I don't think people will be particularly happy if they're an independent voter at all and realize that they saw an ad that it didn't even have their mountain in the ad. I would have thought they would have thought twice about that. We're not talking about, MAGA heads here, because you're not trying to persuade them. There is no point. No. They're just gone. There is no point having a conversation at all.
They already believe the lies, so what difference is going to make?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the amount of times that people have been interviewed and said, what would Trump have to do for you to lose his vote? And then they would say everything you could possibly think of, kill his grandmother, kill whatever, shoot whatever. And no, I think there was one. I remember there was one. He said, what about if he had sex with your grandma? And the dude said, oh, no, that's probably okay. And it's just.
Or how about now if you pose the same question and said, if he ate your dog or your cat, would that be acceptable?
Yes, it's a good question. That's they're eating the pets. No, they're not, Donald. No, they're not. You're just an idiot.
No. You're just making more lies.
Absolutely. And talking about lies, there's something else that Orange Head has been working on feverishly as well, and that is that he's been trying to stop the. I'm trying to find. I've got it here somewhere. It is here somewhere. No, he's not trying to stop the boats.
Wrong leader. Sorry.
He's wrong leader. Exactly right. No, he's trying to stop how Nebraska allocates its electoral votes. And Nebraska, if I am not mistaken, and you can fact check this live if you want, I believe has 2 votes. It's tiny. Nebraska's tiny. I believe it has 2 votes. But the way that it works is that that it's not a winner-take-all system. He doesn't. It's not a winner-take-all system, and Nebraska is a little bit different to quite a lot of the other states. They have a different way of counting votes. So the whole idea is that Trump has gone to this governor and said, and the Republicans that are on the sort of a gubernatorial side there, and said, "Oh, can we get this changed so that it's a winner take all?" Because I believe that will favour Orange Head because of the people that are in the congressional district. Now, Nebraska is one of 2 states, the other one being Maine, that award some of their electoral votes by congressional district. And that allowed Joe Biden to pick up the electoral vote because it's a solidly red state in 2020 by carrying the vote in a competitive House district in the Omaha area. And I'm assuming that's what they're sort of hoping this year as well. But Orange Head and his allies have been trying to get Nebraska to return to a winner-take-all system where many of the other states are, which tends to favour the Republican Party. And the reason for that is that there's many Republicans that are actually in because of massive gerrymandering of maps for a very long time. And we can go on about that in a Party in USA segment in weeks to come, etc. And what that's all about. But just in a nutshell, they have a benefit and they have a advantage. So, as I say, such a move could have dramatic effect on the candidate's strategies for winning 270 electoral votes needed to capture the White House. So, it's a really easy way for him to block the 270 she needs, because by getting that one vote, it'll sort of pop into 270. Otherwise, it'll be 269. And the problem with that is that you'll have it tied at 269. And the problem with that is that they have the numbers in the congressional house. And that means that there's a whole bunch of shenanigans that can go along where they can basically sort of rig the election if they lose it, and get the representatives of the different states not to certify the votes, etc., which is where there's cases in Georgia at the moment from electoral interference from last time, all those sort of things. So, just watch this space, because election day, which is November the 5th, we will not know anything. We will not know anything at all. It will be probably, unfortunately, anywhere between maybe 1 and 5 days, I think, before we actually know. So it's going to take a while, unfortunately, especially since something just came down the other day that I can't remember which state it was. I should know, but I can't remember. But apparently they passed a law that all the votes have to be hand counted.
That's right. What state was that?
I think it's Georgia, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. I'll do some homework on that.
I do remember reading something like that.
I'll have that for next week. But the real implications with that is that you're just going to add even more a chance of fraud, corruption, and just stuff ups and all the rest of it. And plus, it's going to take a really, really long time. So
extra time. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, if Harris won, Georgia, Pennsylvania, etc., the change to how Nebraska gives out electoral votes, as I said, could cause a 269 tie. As I was saying before, the House of Reps would choose the next president, with each state's congressional delegation getting one vote. All House seats are up for election in November, but most observers expect Republicans will have an edge in the number of delegations. Anyway, winner-take-all supporters would need 33 votes, every GOP member in the unicameral legislature to overcome an expected Democratic filibuster, which means they have to get 60%, which they're never going to get, who has been eyeing a run for mayor of Omaha. Republicans would be at least one vote short. So McConnell has been the most public holdout, but those involved in Nebraska politics say they think there are others. So that's all about the lawmaker's name is Governor Jim Pillen. He said that he will not change it 43 days out. Believe it or not, it's only 40 odd days till the election. Wow. So, yeah. So, and that's a good thing, because, as I say, if he did, one vote can make all the difference. It's 270 to 268, and you're the president. So, yeah. It's going to be close, so they need everything they can get. Yeah, it is.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous for them.
Yeah, look, it's pretty scary stuff. No doubt about it. I mean, they are doing well in the polls at the moment. They're doing well in the polls in all of the swing states as well. She's up in favourability, hardcore, etc., etc., etc. More and more people are turning off Orangehead because they know how much of a numbnut he is.
It's just some of the swing states. It's the trouble. It's a bit tight.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, she's probably going to win the public vote by 5 to 8 million. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, it's all about the Electoral College. So it's such a gerrymandered way of voting over there. So, But anyway.
Yeah. But like you said, we'll cover more of that later.
We will indeed. We will indeed. And now I think it's time for one of your favourite subjects and favourite segments.
Mm.
Science. I can smell the chemical.
What are you
Thought he was gonna
blinding us with, Wencee?
Thought he was going to say he can smell the chamomile, not the chemicals, but the chamomile. Anyway,
I could do with a chamomile. That'd be good right
yeah,
now, I'll tell you.
yeah, it would be. Speaking of good, what's not good? Before we get onto this segment, the title of the show, no beers. I've
Yes,
had a
that's
single
bad. Real
solitary
bad.
beer. That's very bad. Yeah, they have restrictions on alcohol here, where you can only buy between 11 and 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. and midnight. So if you're out shopping, like we have recently, and you've missed the 2 o'clock cutoff, you've got to wait 3 hours before you can buy a grog again. So,
Well, you're either going to get dry over there or you're going to go nuts, one or the other.
yeah, or both.
Yeah, or both. Yeah,
Or
exactly
both.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly
so
right. Exactly right.
still to decide or confirm whether you can buy alcohol at a restaurant or bar. But I'll have to test that over the coming
Yeah.
week and report back next week.
Yep.
But anyway, science. We're on to science. I'm going
We are.
to quickly go through my little topic on a not so little creature, which is the Greenland shark. The Greenland shark, as by the name, resides around the Arctic, North Atlantic Ocean, around Greenland.
Any show and tell?
No, I didn't do any show and tell on this one. Apologies.
Okay, no problem.
But this one has been known to potentially live for a long time. As recent as about 10 or 15 years ago, they had done some radiocarbon dating on the shark, and they had suspected it could live up to about 200 years. But in the last, there's just research just come out very recently in the last week or two, where they've been studying the genome of this shark, and they believe it can live up to 400, even 500 years old. So longer than the tortoises of the Galapagos Islands that we talked about recently on the show, and other creatures.
That's crazy.
Oh, there you go. You have found it. Thank you. Yeah, so
I did.
They've discovered that their metabolism remains constant throughout their lifetime. In humans and many other creatures, your metabolism starts to slow down and then starts to degenerate. Your DNA starts to degenerate as a result. So in the Greenland shark, the opposite happens. So their metabolism, because it continues working throughout their life, their DNA continues to be repaired on a regular basis, so it doesn't degenerate. We get old and wrinkly and start getting diseases and cancers and stuff like that. So with the this shark, because they're not only because it's cold and they live in that frigid environment, everything about them is slow. Their growth rates, for example, they only grow about 1 centimeter per year. They reach sexual maturity at 150 years old. Imagine being a teenager for 150 years. Bloody hell.
I don't like saying that either.
Yeah, and so no. Yeah, so because of that, yeah, they tend to live quite long lives. So what's the result of all of this? The scientists are now researching why their DNA can be repaired and how that can translate to other beings and us to make us live longer. Is that a good one? I
Oh,
don't know.
really? No,
Yeah.
no, it's not. We're already living too long.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, so that's going to be the next thing to study. So what they did discover as part of this research was as part of looking at the genome, that the shark has 6.5 billion base pairs, which I've tried to understand what a base pair in terms of DNA. It's twice as much as human genomes contain, but it's the size and the amount that makes them that metabolism be really slow. And so this is part of the challenge for the researchers and the scientists to discover why is it that their pairs, they have more base pairs, which is part of the building blocks. You know how helix, the DNA, so the base pairs got something to do with that. It's hard to explain and understand. I'll put some notes in the show notes, discuss that or how that relates.
I think that would be. I think that would be a good thing to do, because I think with the conversation you're having at the moment, it seems to be very pertinent about this particular creature and why it lives for so long. So yeah, it'd be good to understand that.
Yeah, and so once scientists can understand how their DNA works, and they'll probably start to research other creatures to see if they can tweak some of those genes and make them repair their diseases or make them live longer, have less wrinkles as they get older and things like that. So it is a little bit exciting, but scary at the same time with what they could discover. So yeah, I thought that was very interesting.
Oh, look, it is. It's absolutely fascinating. Greenland shark. So how old do we think that one is? It's 11 foot.
So yeah, they're predicting they can live up to 400 to 500 years old. So yes,
oh wow,
very
that's
long
incredible.
time.
Yeah, that's
Even
nuts.
before the British came to Australia. How's that? They were around even before that.
Yeah, no, that's a long time, man. That is a really, really long time, and they look prehistoric too.
They do,
Like,
don't they?
Yeah, they don't look like your normal shark. But as you say, though, I mean, Greenland. So you think of a shark, you don't think of it in cold water.
No. So
And yeah.
Yeah, they're probably not dangerous. They probably don't live off eating big animals or humans, because you obviously know humans surfing in those waters like we get here. But they could be eating plankton and little fish for all we know. So yeah.
Yeah, look, I think what you're saying is really, really interesting. And I think you also definitely be right, because I think they've got only tiny, weeny little teeth, or it's similar to whales, I would say, especially being that old and the way that they are still in Greenland, etc. Just trying to see if I can get any information of what they eat. I've got a few bits of information here, but inside the shark's eyes, their proteins are formed before birth. And as you say, this is exactly what you're talking about. Scientists discovered they could determine the age of sharks by carbon dating these proteins. Again, what you're talking about. Just trying to find scientists. I'd like to know what they were eating. I don't want to surmise. So maybe you can whack that in your homework, see if you can find out what it was they were eating. Because quite fascinated by that. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I wouldn't have thought it would be anything that's complex. You would think it'd be pretty simple food that they were eating. So
especially with the slow metabolism, they wouldn't need to eat.
So yeah, that is pretty damn cool. So have you got any more on the Greenland shark, or?
Yep, that's it for me.
All good.
But yes, I'll have all the information
problem.
in the show notes during for the next for the show.
Fantastic. So on the 23rd or the 24th of September, just gone, there was a climate summit in New York, and it's called Global Stakes Antarctica. And there is a photographer, James Ballag, and Bill Weir, who is a CNN chief climate correspondent. And they were having a bit of a chat regarding sort of hope that we have in the future, and what our problems with the Antarctica are at the moment. So, a couple of things here is that James Ballig's photography, and again, a bit remiss of me, I don't have a show and tell on this either, but I do have links to the article, so I'll definitely make sure that's available. But his photography documents Antarctica's rapidly vanishing ice, which we all sort of know about, but maybe not have seen as much to be particularly concerned about it. And it's making it accessible for those unfamiliar with scientific data. Antarctic Peninsula and the west of Antarctica, where glaciers are disintegrating. Now, this is pretty devastating. Releasing 150 billion tons of ice. I'll say that again, 150 billion tons of ice per year into the ocean.
Wow.
Into the ocean.
Wow.
So Bill Weir, the CNN correspondent, was saying it's like Alaska on steroids, and emphasized that the region's melting rate has surpassed scientific's predictions. Oh, goody!
Yay!
That's great. That's awesome.
Science got it wrong. Yay!
Yeah, yeah.
Not really. Yeah.
No,
not really funny,
no.
I guess.
Not at all. Visible phenomena such as waterfalls and rainbows underscore how much the frozen desert is changing. I saw something on this the other day whereby there's a place in Canada that's sort of very, very, very cold. It's up near the Yukon, I believe. I think it's called Dawson. And it used to be, years ago, it used to have a lot of ice, super cold, blah, 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 blah. And lots of polar bears would be out there on the ice and they would just chill out. But now, because so much of that ice is melting, those polar bears, mind you, are coming into the town.
Wow.
And they are now needing to, I hate it when you can't find words when you're on a podcast live. It's very annoying. They're needing to inject the bears with, sleeping, put them to sleep type thing, just to be able to get them. Yeah. And then what they do is they get them on a helicopter and they try to put them in a different area where there's actually some ice, et cetera, because they can't have them running around the town. I mean, they're terrorizing the town. They will actually eat humans if they are starving.
Yeah.
So, and you can't blame them. You cannot blame them at all. And good on Dawson. They're trying to actually do something about it. They are, they understand what's happening. But on the flip side, they are right next door to the tar sands, which is killing the world, which is fossil fuels of oil right over the sands in the top of Canada, has been for a long time. And, Trudeau has agreed to allow the piping of this stuff. And they had massive, massive wildfires last year, just huge. Or it might have been the year before, or both years.
That's just probably the last couple of years.
Yeah, and you're going to see it again this year too. They've been doing lots of replanting, lots of heaps and heaps of replanting, but I've talked about this on the show before. An ancient forest is going to hold the water and hold the earth far better and will be far more robust against a wildfire than newly planted ones. It will just be like new fuel.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, the fire will just go, thank you.
Yep. Oh, makes me stronger.
Yeah. And the other problem with that is too, all the replanting that they're doing, that they're saying, oh, we're replanting, they're not replanting enough species. So the species, and that's the thing, by planting more species, everything gets more robust. You just plant one species, they've got nothing to sort of fight against, if you understand what I mean.
No diversity.
No, and no resilience either. Yeah. Exactly. Global ice loss. Greenland global mountain. It's funny we're talking about Greenland again. Global mountain glaciers are also losing substantial ice. You're going to love this. Contributed to sea level rise. Together, Antarctica and Greenland glaciers is going to blow your mind, are losing 750 to 800 billion tons of ice annually.
No.
Annually.
And it's not getting replaced by that much, that's for sure.
And we're giving fossil fuel people over here 10 billion a year in subsidies to keep fucking digging stuff out of the ground.
Yeah,
you know, it's mind-blowing numbers, and people just are just not aware of what is going on.
Yeah.
They're just
turning a blind
walking
eye.
around, just walking around with their takeaway coffee cup. Yeah, everything's cool, no problems.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bill Weir, the CNN correspondent, said that the global ice loss is equivalent to the size of the US, covered in 15 feet of ice since his birth, underscoring the vast scale of the problem.
Whew,
so,
geez.
it's not good. But
Praise
there is
numbers.
some hope. There is some hope coming up. So
Yeah.
I do.
I like some hope.
Yes, I do. I don't have to make sure I give you hope, because I can't just let you be on devastation going to sleep. So anyway, there are reasons for optimism. Antarctica represents global scientific cooperation and conservation efforts. That's what I was talking about before. The comeback of humpback whales. So it shows you that progress is possible. And obviously, new technologies like thermal batteries and sort of nature-based solutions that offer innovative ways to combat climate change. Urgent rising sea levels threaten the coastal cities. We were talking about this before. Florida's got a real problem going forwards, and they've got really stupid ideas about climate change in Florida. In fact, their governor, Ron DeSantis, who's just a nutbag, doesn't have a clue what he's doing, and doesn't believe in climate change, but he will soon when a lot of Florida is covered in water. But anyway, yet these efforts may be outdated by the time they're completed. Yeah, so that's the problem. But I do have some hope. Well, I've given you a tiny bit of hope, but I'll give you a little bit of hope in a minute. The interconnected systems of the Earth climate, as we know, are complex, and it affects ocean currents. Also, something I've been reading a lot about lately is the potentially causing massive disruption to fishing and climate systems. But the problem is that I was reading just recently that I think it was only 20 years ago, 50 years ago maybe, they were taking something like 10 or 20 I think it was 10 or 20 million tons of fish out of the ocean, I think, annually. Now that's 100.
It's tenfold.
Yeah.
And a lot of it gets wasted too, I bet.
Well, yeah. And as you can imagine, because they can't get the fish they used to get, they get smaller fish. So therefore, they can't even breed. You know,
Don't get
and then
to breed again. Yep.
Absolutely. And it affects all the indigenous and the native people of all the different countries that used to have fishing as their little, as their little job that kept their family going, et cetera, et cetera. There just is no fish for them to get. And there's some really horrible stuff going on too. And some of it is actually, unfortunately, in Thailand, where they've had problems with slaves on board fishing ships, and all this sort of stuff. It's it's pretty bad. There's parts of Asia that are really, really bad because they can't police it well enough. But anyway, the community and technological ingenuity. So both Balog and Weir, which is the photographer and CNN guy, they said that the community and the human ingenuity combat climate change. Innovative ideas such as using volcanic ash as whale poo substitutes to fertilize ocean offer potential solutions. So I did a little bit of research into this, and what they're talking about is that for the longest time when we had lots of whales, every time they have a crap, all of their feces is nutrient rich because of everything that they eat. So they basically clean the ocean every time they go to the toilet. But as you can imagine, 66 to 90% of the whales we used to have are now being slaughtered.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Very sad.
now it is super sad. So now that we don't have the whales, etc., anywhere near us, they're trying to come up with this adaptive idea of using volcanic ash as whale poo substitute. And I've got a link here in the show notes. It's a really good one. And it's in the wildernesssociety.org. I also found out they've got a whole bunch of podcasts in there too, which you might be interested in. So I'll put that in the show notes as well. And believe it or not, that is me. So
excellent. That's great.
Maybe we will take. Yeah, it's just I'm fascinated by that stuff, and you know, especially when you can see a little bit of hope in the background. You just got to be. If you don't have hope, no point getting up the next day. So I definitely have hope, and Anyway, we're going to take a little break, and we'll be back with Green There, Done That.
The Australia Institute produces high-quality research that has real-world impact, whether it's revealing the $10.3 billion in fossil fuel subsidies provided by federal and state governments last year, or our long-standing research advocating for a federal anti-corruption commission with real teeth. We change minds. To donate, head on over to australiainstitute.org.au.
God, nothing hurts my soul more than getting a bunch of money from paid sponsorship. Cash for comment. I love it. Speaking of cash, have you tried the new Cash app? Send and receive money from anyone instantly with the Cash app. Oh, God. Say you want to get $10,000 from Valvoline just for mentioning the word Valvoline. Just give them your Cash app username and they can send it to you immediately. No questions asked. Download the Cash app today. Valvoline.
Against it, but these fires are certainly not a function of climate change. They're just a function of life in Australia.
Why would a scientist want to change people's vote? I mean, this is you saw the spin over the past week as they drip fed.
A poll that came out last month, which found 1 in 4 Americans is skeptical about the effects of climate change and thinks this issue's been exaggerated.
It's cold.
You're listening to Green There, Done That on the new Blurt with Wencee and the Kegsta.
Yeah, it's so true. You are. And I just wanted to say that was Dan Ilick, if anyone's listening, who was doing the Cash app, doing the Alan Jones impression. He did that live on our show. So we recorded that. He did that live just on the fly. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, it's very generous of him, wasn't it, to do that for us?
It was indeed. I'd just like to give a plug to Dan as well. Just recently got married. Seems to be very happy in that department. Also, just recently, he started up Rational Fear again. So it's one of my favourite poddies that I love to listen to. So I'm back on the Rational Fear wheel again, which is pretty cool. I think you actually put me onto a Rational Fear.
Yeah, I think so. And does he still have Lewis Hobber on it?
Yes, he does. Lewis is back, which is really good. So just in case you didn't know. Now, something else, a bit remiss of me, but maybe I just wanted to tell that story. We were doing science. I gave you Green There, Done That.
Just mixing it up. It's been 2 weeks. It's been a while since we did this show, so I'll forgive you for that.
Just mixing it up. So I'm going to talk about now when robots can't riddle. And the reason I'm going to talk about that is because there's been quite a lot of conversation lately regarding AI, what it can and can't do. And it's pretty interesting what it can and can't do. And some of the stuff that it can't do captures. So if you've got, the human capture thing, when you have to say, how many bikes are you seeing in this grid thing? Or how many traffic lights, all that sort of stuff. Yep. Yeah, so it's not very good at that. But I did, absolutely. But I did listen to something recently, and it was quite fascinating. And they were saying that the AI was actually smart enough. I'm not exactly sure how, but this AI situation was smart enough to be able to send an email to a human and try to construct a human type email to ask them to complete the captcha for them. But
so it's not enough to ask the question, but just can't do it.
Correct. But the human was smart enough to read the email and realize that it wasn't very good functioning conversation the way that a human would probably write the email, and it sort of flagged it and went, no, not doing that. So 1 for the humans.
Yes.
But, yes, definitely. So anyway, so solving complex tasks humans can barely fathom, we are saying about AI. But when it comes to riddles and abstract reasoning, humans often outperform machines, as I was just saying then. So GPT-4 is an exceptional pattern recognition, but when it's faced with problems like, just common sense, it can't do it. And they call that temporal reasoning, which is understanding time sequences. It's particularly not good at that. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about that. So there was an experiment that demonstrated that if a woman, so the answer was whether a woman who died at 11 p.m. was alive at noon.
Mm-hmm.
And
get it.
No, well, the answer is simple yes. For humans, the AI couldn't provide a definitive answer. And so it shows that they can, as we know, process vast amounts of data, but they still can't think. That's why, in a way, we shouldn't call it artificial intelligence. We should be calling it, I don't know, data sync or something, i.e. it's a data sync, not data syncing something, but it's a sync of data, if you know what I mean. Because basically that's what it is. But some things that they are particularly good at is, so there's the bat and ball problem. Do you know the bat and ball problem?
Never heard of it.
Okay, beautiful. That's the answer I wanted to hear. So the bat and ball problem was, and it's actually not that difficult, to be honest, but people that don't understand algebra might have a problem with the bat and ball problem. And basically what the bat and ball problem is, I'm trying to find the answer, but it's not showing it to me, so that's fine. So all it is that if you have a bat, that's $1, if you have a bat and ball, $1.10, and the bat costs $1 more than the ball, how much was the ball? Something along those sort of lines. And basically the formula is X plus bracket X plus 1 equals $1.10. That's your formula for working it out. You transpose your I can't remember what you call those things.
Your X's, your variables?
Yeah.
Is it variable?
Yeah, I was going to say it was a variable. We deal with variables all the time, so it's hard to remember. But you transpose your X's and you go XX, the 2X plus 1, then take the 1 on the other side, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it ends up being 0.5. Well, it can do that stuff pretty damn fast compared to us. But they fail on novel riddles that are outside their training data, which is pretty understanding. So, and scientists still struggle to fully understand how thoughts are formed or how neurons contribute to cognition. Studying AI alongside neuroscience could provide insights into both fields, and that I think is pretty fascinating. Studying AI alongside neuroscience. I was talking to someone the other day who's in the medical side of things, and they were saying that there's a lot of study with AI, and I believe they're using AI to detect certain cancers in certain hospitals in America at the moment, etc. So, it's not all terrible. It isn't. We talk about that all the time. So anyway, long story short, while AI continues to improve, humans still have the edge. Yay, humans.
Yeah.
when it comes to puzzles and abstract reasoning. So simple riddles often stump them. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Not surprised. Not surprised.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad the humans are still winning on that front.
Yep. Me too, my friend. Me too.
Okay. All right. Just to wrap up this segment, I'm going to go back to the the banner that they'll be talking about. Green there, done that. Mine's going to be very brief. It's about the environmental impacts of humans as obviously we all know, can be quite bad. But in particular to Brisbane, my home city, even though it's not home at the moment for the next 6 months, where construction of residential development, things like that, which obviously is happening all across the world. But in our case, the rapid urban development, especially building out along creeks or rivers as we expand from the main city of Brisbane, there's been a lot of sediment that goes because as they clear lots in the outer suburbs, they clear all the trees to build an estate. In doing so, all the mud and the silt that was being protected and held by the trees, obviously when it rains or you get storms, all of that starts to flood out or move out of that area, goes into the creeks, which then goes into the Brisbane River.
Do you know the other terrible, horrible thing about that as well? You remove all the topsoil, and the topsoil,
exactly.
It's got all the nutrients, all the worms, everything that was fantastic about that area before they touched it.
Exactly.
It is just devastating.
It's
Absolutely
just a cascading effect when you clear land like that, and the result of all of this, it has muddied the Brisbane water even more. So colloquially we call it the brown snake, because if you look at it from the top, it looks like a brown snake, but it has consequences downstream as well, even out to the ocean, out in Moreton Bay area. So all that mud just makes it even harder for fish and plants that would have been in the cleaner river. It makes it harder for them to survive. And so there's been studies where what was once a sandy floor in Moreton Bay, which is quite natural, is now covered in mud. So that's impacting the mud flats, the tidal flats of out of Brisbane along the bay there in Moreton Bay. It's estimated 500 tons of sediment is entering waterways from construction sites of these homes every year.
Have they got any thoughts or ideas that this is a real issue and they need to do something differently? I mean, are they even thinking about it, or
they have protection in inverted commas? So when they build and clear the land like that at construction sites, you'll see this green plastic fence staked in, like that's supposed to hold all of that. But unfortunately, it doesn't stay there for long. You get wind and rain and it all just moves out, and that plastic fence is now gone or has holes, and it all just dissipates and disappears into the creeks and rivers, and like you said, the topsoil disappears. So it's pretty sad that our development and our population growth is causing all of this. So what we need to do, what are the solutions? We need to create buffers, plant more trees around waterways, even create terracing. So like they do here in Asia for rice paddies, create terracing so that the soil runoff doesn't disappear so quickly and it stays in certain areas. Less concrete and keep creating more greenery is the part of the answer. Yeah, so lots of other things, but yeah, I'll put the story in the show notes for you to read up on, so you get more ideas on what to do and what the governments can do.
It's interesting because years ago, the houses were smaller and the blocks were bigger, and then you had a decent backyard to run around in. But now they keep building a smaller block, or if you're rural, it could be a larger block, but they will build a bigger house as well. And there'll be still fuck all backyard because the house will be taking up all the space. We just, I don't know, we've got our ratios wrong. We've just got our ratios wrong. We need more backyards. We need more gardens. And we need more Wencee. But he's there. Nope. He moved. I'm sure he's there. Wencee, can you hear us?
Okay, hopefully I'm back. Hopefully, yes, I can. Hopefully I'm back.
Oh, good. Yes, we had a couple of little hiccups there, but
Yes.
but that's cool. You're back. I was just banging on about we need more gardens and we need more space in our blocks and maybe
and bigger
smaller
trees.
houses. Yeah, we definitely do. We definitely, absolutely do. That's our lot, isn't it, Wencee?
I think it is. Yes, that is
Yeah.
for our long show.
Absolutely.
Bit delayed today.
Well, it is a little bit delayed, but I've got to say it's pretty much about the same length as most of the other shows for as long as I can think of for a long time.
It is.
But we had a lot of good stuff in there, and the potty will be out, making the assumption, maybe next Monday.
Or earlier. I'll be able to work on it sooner than that, but yes.
Okay. All right. Cool. No problems. We'll definitely have the potty out by next Monday at the very latest. So look out for that one. All our other stuff. Beautification.
Yes.
Pole
My
position.
favourite. Yes.
Blurt Around
Very
the World,
important.
obviously. And then we just have to work out what the other segment will be. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
But no, that should be good. So we look forward to that already. Obviously, we look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah.
It was just such a delight to do the show again. It's I missed it.
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks. So I'll have some photos for next week from the balcony of what we see out that way.
That'd be great.
It's
Bit of
quite
show and
pretty.
tell would be
It's
good.
quite pretty. Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
So,
Excellent.
definitely.
Oh, fantastic. All right, then. Well, good night. If anyone's joined us on the pod, hope you enjoyed it. As we always say, all the links are in the show notes, but obviously you're hearing that now, so you would have missed it at the front. Don't worry about it. We'll see you next time. All right.
We'll see you
Thanks
next
for
week.
listening.
That's right.
See you inside.
All right. See you later. Bye.